Welcome to the Personal Finance Block. In this block, we will introduce you to the skills that will help you address responsibly managing your finances and conduct financial life planning. Financial planning is an issue that a large percent of the population wrestles with primarily because they lack the information or education that they need to make decisions. As you can see from this chart, 50% of people do not believe they will be comfortable in retirement, and the trend shows that this group is growing. These numbers are likely more severe within the Army population, with a downsizing military and fewer soldiers making it to retirement. With the Army's new Joint Contribution Plan that replaces the standard pension benefit, you must be more educated than ever about your own personal finances. It is important that you begin this lifetime of learning now because, as we learned about in the macro block, the length of time is crucial in determining the growth power of compounding interest. Here is an example of two cadets. One cadet's preferences lead him to consume now, while the other decides to save early in his career. As you can see, in this example, the cadet that decides to save early in his career puts away less than half of the total amount that Cadet A invests because he stops investing at the age of 36, while Cadet B saves for approximately 30 years from the age of 36. At a 7% interest rate, and assuming they both retire at the same age, the spender will be left with $505,000, while the saver will be left with $735,000. This is the power of compounding interest and understanding the time value of money, which we will cover next lesson. Like all of economics, this block is about decisions to allocate resources to the places that will grant you the most happiness. These skills will not only benefit you in your personal life, but assist you in identifying at-risk soldiers in your future formations. Here is the financial planning process. Like any good planning process, we first want to assess where we are at and then determine what our end state is. Today we will focus on the first three steps of the financial planning process. The first topic we will discuss is the personal balance sheet. The balance sheet is one of the three major financial statements that firms use to understand their financial well-being. In this block, we will use a personal balance sheet to provide a snapshot of your net worth at a given time. The balance sheet revolves around the simple formula that assets equals liabilities plus owner's equity for businesses and net worth for our own personal balance sheet. When we rearrange this formula, we see that net worth equals assets, or what you own, minus liabilities, what you owe other people. The balance sheet is set up with assets on the left and liabilities and net worth on the right. Let's start on the left side with assets. Your assets include everything that you could sell for some amount of money, including your financial assets. It is important to note that this is not the same value as the original purchase price. At your age, financial assets typically include cash in your wallet, piggy bank, checking account, savings account, IRA, and other investments. Other assets that you should consider that are not negligible include a vehicle, boat, computer, West Point ring, etc. As we list these assets out, we list the most liquid asset, the cash in your wallet, at the top, and move down as the assets become less and less liquid. We add all these assets together, and that will provide us with our total assets. On the right side, we begin with liabilities. As discussed, liabilities are anything that we owe of value to someone else. Once again, we begin with liabilities that are the most current and work our way down to those that must be paid in the distant future. Liabilities will include credit card debt, anything you owe to family or friends, any major loans you may have taken out, cow loan, car loan, or in the future, a mortgage.
Anytime you take on any type of payment plan that you are taking on a liability against your net worth. Keep this in mind the next time you decide to finance your PS3 and Samsung 47-inch LED TV.
When we add these up, we find our total liabilities. With our total liabilities calculated, we can begin to think about the final entry on the right side of the balance sheet, which is your net worth. Remember, the net worth is the assets that would be left over after we pay off all of our liabilities. This number will simply be a plug to ensure that the left side of our balance sheet equals the right side of our balance sheet. Finally, for the sake of correct presentation, we add up our liabilities and owner's equity to show that they equal our total assets. If your net worth is not as high as you'd like it to be, don't worry. Net worth fluctuates a lot and is based heavily on the stage of your life that you're in. By completing a balance sheet, we can begin to understand our current financial position, which will allow us to better shape and form our budget and goals for our own specific situation. The next step in our financial planning is to establish our financial goals. Similar to other goal setting techniques that you have studied in the past, we want our financial goals to follow the SMART acronym. First, they must be specific. General goals leave a lot of room for error. For example, there is a big difference between saving for a graduate program at the Ivy League and saving for a graduate program at your in-state public university. Next, your goals should be measurable. In order to hold yourself accountable, you must be able to measure success or failure. Finally, the goals should be attainable, relevant, and time-bound. We categorize the goals into 3 different time frames: short-term, which occurs in the next year, an immediate term, over the next 10 years, and finally, long-term, more than 10 years. Some examples of short-term goals include establishing an emergency fund equaling 3 months of your living expenses, paying off credit cards, purchasing insurance, financing spring break to Cancun. Intermediate goals would be saving for a child's college, saving for a house down payment, purchasing a vacation home, and finally long-term goals, starting a business, saving for retirement, and finding your retirement home. With our goals established, we can begin to conform our spending to achieve these goals. The final step we will discuss today is developing your personal income statement. The income statement typically covers a month's time period and identifies all of the sources of income and expenditures that a household will have. At the top of the income statement, we will begin with the sources of income. As future Army officers, we will determine our income using the LES. Your LES, or the LES of your soldiers, can be found through the Defense Finance and Accounting Service website at www.mypay.gov. After logging in and opening the file, you'll be left with this intimidating form. But do not fear, taking one step at a time removes a lot of the mystery. At the top is the generic admin information, including the time period covered in the document. LESs are available at the start of each month for the preceding month. Next, we get to the part we care about. Entitlements will cover all of the income you earn that month. This starts with your basic pay, but will also include basic allowance for housing, which is specific to each post, basic allowance for subsistence, which is the same $253.16 for all officers, and any other special pay you may earn. The next block is the deductions. This includes any money that is deducted out of your pay by the government. Obviously, your taxes make up the largest part of this block. The federal taxes line is your federal income tax payment. The next two are self-explanatory for your Social Security and Medicare benefits. SGLI is your life insurance. How much you decide to purchase is up to you, but remember that your monthly premium continues to increase with each level of coverage you choose, up to the max of the $27 a month associated with $400,000 of coverage. Finally, your mid-month pay will also be deducted because the government pays it out to you prior to the end of the month. Other things you might see in the deductions column of your soldiers is any type of docked pay associated with either Article 15 action or statement of charges due to lost equipment. The allotments block is any type of allotment that you set up to come automatically out of your paycheck. More than likely, it will be a $5 contribution that you decided to donate to your Rockbound Highland home. But things you will see in this block range from child support to charity contributions to automatic allotments into savings or investments. Finally, the last block on this line is the summary block, which will determine what you will receive transferred into your bank account at the end of the month. The next block is the leave block, where you will find your current leave balance as well as other information. You earn 2.5 leave days each month. The next 3 blocks detail your tax information, including taxable wages and taxes withheld. Additional information details your housing and food allowance. The final block describes your contributions to the Army's investment vehicle through the TSP. Finally, the remarks section is an important place to look to find the dates of any leave you were charged for in the previous month, as well as descriptions of any deductions that are non-recurring. Getting back to our personal finance exercise, the end of the month allotment and the end of month pay are the 2 amounts that will be sources and put into your bank account. Now that we understand the LES, let's see what a second lieutenant actually makes right now. The current amount is $2,972.40, and this number will grow with annual pay increases before you get to the Army, but for now let's plan with the current number. When calculating taxes, remember that base pay and most special pays are taxable income, while BAH, BAS, and deployment pay is tax exempt. You can find the exact figures for allowances and special pays on the DFAS website. Let's get back to the personal finance exercise. As discussed, we can now enter in our total income.
If there is any other household income, we should also include that here as well. After we have established our total income, we can begin to subtract our uses of income. We begin with taxes. As the saying goes, there are only 2 things in life that are certain: death and taxes. There are many different levels of taxes, which you should be able to calculate after a lesson on marginal and average tax rate. But to ease the burden of this assignment, we have provided you with a template for the PFX. These taxes are listed in the deductions column. State taxes are determined by your permanent residence address. Fortunately, as a military serviceman or woman, you are able to maintain your residence with your parents' address if it is beneficial to do so. It would behoove you to research the selection of your home of residence at each new assignment. Fortunately for me, I am from Florida, which does not have an income tax. After determining your taxes down to the state level, you can subtract your taxes and any other deductions and allotments from your total income to determine your monthly disposable income. This is all the money that you can decide to allocate. As a matter of principle, you should always pay yourself first. That means putting money into savings or investments in order to accomplish your financial goals. As a general rule of thumb, a realistic goal for total savings is between 15 and 20%. This is where opportunity costs and your preferences will really differentiate each individual person as they determine their savings against current consumption. It is also important to note that there will not be any recurring payments in this category, and for the most part, all of your single one-time payments will occur in the savings category. After paying yourself, we can then categorize the remainder of the expenditures into needs and wants. Typically, the fixed expenses will be classified into the needs section. These include all costs that stay consistent from month to month and cannot typically be altered or negotiated down. The single largest item for most second lieutenants will be rent. The average American family spends approximately 26% of their income on housing. At the current time, it is not required that you spend your entire BAH on housing. Any money that you can save can then be allocated elsewhere, so don't anchor yourself to your BAH. This is the reason you will find many lieutenants who dramatically reduce their rent expense by splitting the total rent with a roommate. Other fixed costs include utilities, cell phone plans, car payments, transportation costs, food, insurance, among other things. Fortunately, as a soldier, your family's health expenditures, which make up approximately 7% of a middle-income family's budget, are reduced to almost zero. When determining these numbers, it is important to conduct research to determine realistic values for these costs in order to make your plan relevant. For your PFX, you will need to document in the cell immediately to the right the source of the prices that you are using. Typically, our needs make up about 50% of all disposable income. One final thing of note, which is very important, is that you should also include your payments for your Cal loan. This is a monthly payment that comes directly out of your paycheck, and you will not be able to negotiate it if you decide to take the Cal loan, which we strongly recommend that you do. Finally, after discussing the marginal benefits of leisure in the labor supply problem in the micro block, we must allocate some resources to our wants. This portion of expenditures typically makes up approximately 30 to 35% of the budget. Because these are variable expenses, these are the types of expenditures that are first sacrificed if you choose to save more. These expenditures include everything that we want to spend the rest of our money on, from recreational activities like golf, subscriptions like Netflix, Spotify, and the Gold's Gym near you, and social activities like movies and eating out. You will see this money goes away very quickly. Although the wants category is the easiest to allocate money to, it is also the most difficult to follow. Peer pressure, impulse buying, and other random expenditures can occur very quickly and devastate your financial plan. Now that we have finished our savings, needs, and wants, let's add them up in order to find our total expected expenditures a month. If we subtract our total expenditures from our monthly disposable income, we can find the money remaining. First, you want to go back through and make sure you didn't miss anything. Like I missed transportation costs to get me to and from work every day. After that, it is important to allocate every dollar so at the end of each month the following identity holds. Monthly income equals monthly expenditures plus monthly savings. We want to ensure we go back through and put this scarce resource, our money, in the place where it will give us the most happiness. If this is not in savings, that is okay. Not everyone will save the same amount. You can put all the extra money in its own category of blow money if you wish. We simply advocate that you personally make the choice. This will ensure that you own each decision as well as the repercussions of each decision. This will leave you with a remainder of zero. Unfortunately, it is very easy to use credit as a means of increasing expenditures beyond the monthly income. We will cover interest rates further in the time value of money class, but if you take one thing from this class, remember, do not carry a balance on your credit card. Finally, this is an iterative process, and you will continue to update your budget as your information and preferences change each month, and allocate resources as you see fit. There are many tools out there to assist you in achieving your budget. USAA and other banks offer them, but one website you might want to look into is called mint.com. It will link all your accounts and help you keep track of all your spending. This concludes our lesson for today. We covered evaluating your financial health, defining your goals, and developing a plan of action. In the next 2 lessons, we will discuss how you will go about implementing your plan, and then it will be on you to review, reevaluate, and revise your plan. Have a great night.